What's going on, everybody? It's Mike here from AX Garage. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back with episode number 6 on the Civic Type R Spoon Sports catalog build. On the last episode, we went ahead and finished up the front suspension, the brakes and everything up in the front. Now today's episode, we'll be working on some chassis tuning and also finish off the back brake. So let me go ahead and bring the car up in the air and show you guys the exact location we'll be working on. He's underneath the vehicle and we'll be working underneath here today, and John could tell us a little bit more what we'll be doing today.
All right, so we are on the next phase of the Spoon catalog build.
Ooh.
And I like suspension mods. You know, I don't know how effective this is. I'm sure it helps, but I don't think you're gonna feel this as much as you're gonna feel our next mod. The next mod is the Spoon Rigid Collar Kit. And what that kit does is it takes the slop out of the subframe bolts. Underneath this bracket is where the subframe actually is, and this portion here, and also here on these bolts as well is here. So in the subframe, the hole that the bolt goes through has a lot of play. What this collar does is it takes all the gap up in between the hole and the bolt so that when it goes in, there's no play on the subframe. So when it is aligned to the true center point of the bolts on the frame and on your subframe. Also, what it does is it stops the subframe from shifting in that slop under heavy driving and quartering. It could potentially, because there's slop, even though everything's tight, the frame can shift slightly, throwing your toe and your cambers out of whack. So the idea is to take all that slack out of it and make everything solid. That's a Spoon Rigid Collar Kit. In addition to the Rigid Collar Kit, we're gonna be installing the spoon stiffening plate, and that goes in this area here. It's going to replace this. I think it's also going to replace this one. We're going to see how it lines up, but I'm pretty sure it replaces everything into one solid plate here. And when we install that, we're also going to install the Spoon Rigid Collar Kit goes under here, but it doesn't go on this side of the plate. It'll go above the stiffening plate into the actual subframe. One of these Spoon Rigid Collars, one goes above and one goes below on the main 4 subframe bolts. And on these other ones, it's just the top part. So when we take it out, we're gonna lower the subframe down just a little bit so that we can sneak the collars in. And then we will add the spoon specific rigid collar. I think it's like a grease. It's like a gold metallic grease. And then we're gonna torque everything to spec so that it sits. These rigid collar kits are also made of a soft metal that forms to the inconsistencies in the frame and the body of the car. So once you put them in, that's really where they're supposed to stay. So right now, we already have the splash shield off from our previous work we've been doing. That saves us a step. So now we're gonna start removing these plates, and then we're gonna go ahead and lower the subframe slightly and get everything installed. And on top of that, we also have to do this on the rear, and it's pretty much the same exact thing. It's in these 6 spots, 3 on each side. Same thing as the front. We lower everything down a little bit, slide it into place, call it a day. I think it should be pretty easy. And of course, we got to do an alignment. We've also modified the front lower ball joints. We haven't aligned it yet. So it should be pretty straightforward. This is our first time doing it. I have this kit from my NSX. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I haven't gotten around to doing it yet, but I really look forward to it. So this is a little bit of practice for me.
John, do you mind to go over to the bench and let's take a look at what the parts looks like.
All right, so here, I believe this is the rear collar kit. And as you can see, you have a larger one that has a tapered end on it. That tapered end is gonna go up into the body of the car, and then it extends out on the bottom. And this is what's gonna go into the subframe. And over here, this is the lower one where the bolts goes into and where you'll tighten it and torque it from. And like I said, one goes on the top, one goes on the bottom. That's the rear. This is the front. It has different size ones for different size bolts and different applications on the car. And here's the spoon. maybe read it like this. I don't know. But this is the special grease we have to use when we install it. Now, also what we have here is that stiffener plate that I was talking about. And this thing's pretty cool. As you can see, it does take the place of those brackets and it forms everything into one solid piece instead of there being separate pieces. So this is going to stiffen up the body near the rear of the subframe and the chassis in that spot. It also has a really nice spoon stamp stencil here. I like it a lot. That should be nice for that. And also we have a couple other things here, which are our rear brake pads. And are these the other brake lines?
Yeah, the rear brake
the
lines.
rear brake lines. And we're gonna also be painting the rear calipers as well to match the front ones. So this video has got a whole bunch of good stuff in it. I think it should be a pretty good one. All right, so I mentioned before that when we installed this, we're probably gonna have to remove it for this part. So this one's pretty simple to remove. It has a mounting bracket here, but first we're gonna remove the actual beam in this bracket. It's this bolt, same on this side. We'll get this whole unit out the way, and then we can start to lower the subframe based off of these pieces here. Should be pretty straightforward. All right, so we got our rigid collar sitting in the upper portion, but before we can put this one in, we have to install our plate. So what we're gonna do first is mount it in these back portions, back here, get it to hang, and then we'll slide it into place.
So now with all the fastener in place, John's gonna use his fancy torque wrench and get everything torqued down.
Yes.
just like that, we got a front. I think it's all done now.
Yeah, the whole rigid collar kit is installed along with this very fancy stiffening plate right here. I would call this the Stiffy. It's very nice. I like it a lot. The Stiffy, yes. Very nice. I like. Now let's go get the rear done. This one should be a little quicker.
And we got all 6 fastened on the back tightened up, and John got a pretty good workout.
That was a lot of work. It's probably torquing bolts above my head that's hurting me, but you know, nothing like that's the way I'm gonna end my night tonight and go home and have a mild coma, I think, and then we'll wake up tomorrow and do it again. But everything installed pretty easy. The instructions are great. They come in English and they come in Japanese, and everything works out perfect. Simple installation. I think we have to do our rear brakes and then alignment. Project's done, ready to go back to the owner. I think he's gonna love it.
And with the rigid collars out of the way, let's go ahead and finish up the rear brakes. Now we have a few things to finish up. Back here we have the spoon brake lines, spoon brake pads, and also we want to refinish the rear calipers. Now before we can do that, we're gonna have to get the car down, get the scan tool plugged into the vehicle so we can retract the rear parking brakes. Then we can get everything taken apart back here. Both of the rear calipers are here, and the owner have sent us the exact spray paint that is matching the front caliper. So I'm gonna go ahead and send these two calipers along with the spray paint to our paint shop. And both calipers just came back from the paint shop. Brian from Paint Society did a great job on both these calipers. As always, next up, let's go ahead and put everything back together. Guys, just like that, we got everything put back together at the rear brakes, new spoon brake pads, along with the stainless steel brake line. Next up, let's go ahead and bleed the hydraulic brake system, and then we can put the wheels back on. Finally, a four-wheel alignment. And we just finished bleeding all the brakes. Next up, I think we're ready to put back the splash shield, John.
Yeah, we have put the splash shield back, but our iMotion beam's a little bit in the way. So we're just gonna unbolt it so we can get to some of these mounting points and get everything back in. But it's simple, it's just got a couple of 14s that hold it into place. No big deal. Kobe, did you? Hey, Mike. We were just talking about it. I don't know why that popped up in my head.
All right, so we got a car on the alignment lift, and this is probably our final step on this build.
Yeah, other than I think we have to have the tune looked at a little bit, but in the shop here, the last thing we have to do is just line everything up. Seeing as we had the subframe loosened and adjusted on everything, we knew it was going to be out of spec a little bit. So we have no camber kits in here. Everything is natural camber that the car would have with all of its stock parts as far as camber arms go. So we're not going to have any adjustment on this, but they're pretty close to each other, so that gives us a good sign. Our fronts are dead on, and our toes are out just a little bit, front and rear. When we bring the back into spec, it's going to move these, so we'll see how far out it is really. It's really not all that bad, but definitely not where it's supposed to be. We'll get this dialed in, and this thing's ready for some serious business. I don't know if the owner's going to show it the business, but if it was my car, I'd show it the business.
And guys, with the alignment out of the way, we are all done with this FK8 Civic Type R Spoon Sport catalog build. And I hope you guys enjoy all 6 of these episodes. We had an incredible time able to be a part of this amazing build. You guys haven't already done so, make sure you guys consider to subscribe to our channel because we got a lot more cool content coming out your way. And make sure you follow us on our social media pages, both Facebook and Instagram at Acura Honda Classics. My name is Mike, on behalf of AC Garage. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you guys next week.